Today, we'll be re-entering the Stardew Valley universe and recreate the iconic and whimsical pink cake. In my last video, I tried a bunch of foods and drinks from the game, which was so much fun that I decided to take a few days to unwind and recreate the pink cake, and I thought I'd take you guys along with me. Disclaimer, it ended up not being as relaxing as I thought, but it did turn out kinda cute, and I just hope that it's good enough for Haley. Alright, get comfy, relax, and let's head over to the farm. Okay, day 1 is prep day, so the goals are to 1. Make and cool the strawberry melon jam that is going to go into the center of the cakes, and 2. Bake the cake layers themselves. So starting off with the jam, I first grabbed the strawberries and diced them into small chunks. And I did the same with the watermelon as well. To a blender, I tossed in the watermelon, some sugar, a pinch of salt, and gave that a good blend. Into a small saucepan went the diced strawberries, some lemon zest, and the watermelon juice. And I let that simmer on low for a good 25 to 30 minutes. To thicken this up into a spreadable jam consistency, I stirred in a cornstarch slurry and let that cook for another 4 to 5 minutes. And yeah, that's the jam done. Next on the checklist is the cake. So I almost always skip this step when making cakes, but the recipe calls to sift together all the dry ingredients, so that's what I'm doing here. And honestly, it was kind of satisfying. How many was that? Okay, last one. Into a large mixing bowl, I placed the softened butter and sugar. I whipped everything up using my hand mixer until light and fluffy, about 2 minutes. Now, this was interesting because butter typically makes cakes denser, which might not fare well in a layered cake, but I guess we'll see how that turns out. Anyways, to that I'm adding lots of vanilla paste followed by the eggs. In the cookbook recipe, they call for duck eggs, but I unfortunately couldn't find any near me, so I opted for these blue eggs as a nod to the adorable blue chickens in the game. I don't know, just something about them is so cute. But after those were all incorporated, I added a third of my dry ingredients, followed by half of the buttermilk, another third of the dry, the rest of the buttermilk, and finally the rest of the dry mix. And finally, these are ready to bake. I divided the batter evenly between my 3 6-inch cake pans, since those are what I have on hand, and I typically like the look of a taller cake, but I'll say in retrospect, I should have done the 2 9-inch cakes suggested in the recipe, but we'll get into that later. Welcome to day 2. Let's attempt to finish the cake today. I started things off by just leveling the cake layers we baked yesterday by cutting off the little domed tops, and that'll leave us with just straight flat slabs to build the cake with. For the icing, I'm making a strawberry cream cheese frosting with some crushed up freeze-dried strawberries. And to that, I whisked in a buttload of powdered sugar, which ended up being this beautiful pink color. Very cute. I whipped up the softened butter together with the softened cream cheese and vanilla paste, mixing that for a good 2 to 3 minutes. and then I added in the powdered sugar bit by bit in about 3 to 4 stages. I also ended up adding a splash of milk here just to loosen it up since it seemed way too thick. And yeah, we're just looking for a super nice, smooth, and fluffy icing. Now on to assembling and frosting the cake. First, I'm placing one of the layers on top of my cake board with a dollop of icing just to make sure everything sticks and doesn't move around too much while we frost the cake. Yeah, add another bit of frosting and spread that over the first layer. Followed by a border of frosting around the edge, kind of like a dam of some sort for the strawberry melon jam we're adding to the center. And then I just repeated that with the next layer, just making sure everything was tidy and the cake was even. Once that was all done, I let this chill in the fridge for about an hour to hopefully firm up a bit. Then it's time to do the first coat of frosting, which doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just looking to get a somewhat even layer going around the cake to trap in any crumbs. Then I'm doing the actual outside layer, so spreading the rest of the icing around the cake and making sure to get it as even and smooth as I can. Now here's where I slipped up yet again because cream cheese frosting doesn't really set like normal buttercream does, so attempting a 3-layer cake maybe wasn't the smartest on my end. But in general, cream cheese frosting is also notoriously hard to decorate cakes with, even if it was 2 layers. So I'm going to put up some tips on the screen, so hopefully your cake doesn't turn out as disastrous as mine did. But by this point, it was getting dark and my icing was starting to melt everywhere, so I just popped that into the fridge and I guess we'll finish the cake tomorrow. Day 3. What an eventful day. So the cake, she's very cute from this angle. Very cute, very cute. Then you give her a turn and she's got a little bit of a booty. I don't know what happened in the fridge, but we're just gonna see her from this angle for the rest of the video. Okay, typical me would be scrambling to remake this whole thing, but let's just breathe. It's fine, and hopefully it brought some comedic value to the video. So let's just move on to the decorations. So I thought it would be a nice touch to have pixelated 8-bit hearts on top instead of just freeze-dried strawberries. So I got to do some crafting and I made my own stencil out of some parchment paper and lots of patience. The idea is to place the stencil onto the top of the cake and to be able to spread a thin layer of red buttercream into the empty heart spaces so that when you remove the parchment paper, you're just left with 8 pixelated hearts around the top of the cake. Again, because of the cream cheese frosting not setting up very firmly, it sort of stuck to the stencil, so I tried my best to smooth everything back out. But yeah, this turned out pretty cute, even though they're not as defined as I would like it to be, but pretty happy with it. The final step is to pipe a shell border around the bottom and optionally the top as well if that's the aesthetic you're going for. I also tried adding some more decorations to the top to make it a little more cutesy, but I couldn't decide if I loved this or hated it, so I ended up just removing it. But if you think it made the cake look cuter, please don't tell me, just keep it to yourself. So yeah, that's the cake all done. Also, I'm so sorry, didn't mean to be rude. I would just be so sad if you guys thought the cake was cuter with the decorations since I removed them. But hopefully you think this is cute too. This cake might not be perfect, but I'm still proud of it. She's cute from this angle and honestly tasted really nice. Perfect for the summertime. The cake was more of a buttery, dense pound cake, which paired really well with the tangy strawberry frosting as well. And the jam was a little interesting. I'm definitely not used to the watermelon flavor in baked goods, but it sort of added this refreshing floral note to everything, which actually grew on me. Overall, this was so much fun, and I mean, I got to eat cake, so what a great experience. If you made it this far, here's a look at the back of the cake as a little treat to making it to the end of the video, but thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.